Hi folks, I'm Mike from Minnesota. Welcome to my channel. Being brought to you from my kitchen in northern Minnesota, north of Highway 2, Itasca County, at the doorstep of the Chippewa National Forest. Today I'm doing a short video on venison jerky. A lot of people do venison jerky. There's many different ways. And oh gosh, over my 30 years of deer hunting, I've tried many recipes and finally came up with one that I really like. My family loves it and I'm sticking with it. And I may try another one down the road, but for now this is what I love and this is what really tastes great. Talking to my neighbor earlier today, he did 5 pounds of venison on his Traeger grill. And to me that sounds really good. I don't like real heavy smoke flavored, and I think the Traeger would probably be a good way to do it. I do have a really good smoker I've tried it in and didn't care for it as much as this process here. And as you can see, what I use is High Mountain jerky seasoning, and I like the original blend. I've tried many other ones. The pepper blend's pretty good. Pepperoni blend was pretty good actually. But the thing is when I make a lot, I just want to be careful so that what I do make, I like it, and I hate splitting batches with different things. So I first of all want to begin with, I'm using today 3 pounds of venison. And what I do with my venison and with my fish is when I clean my fish and they're ready to be frozen, I pack them 2 ways for the freezer. One is in water, or the other is in the food saver. And before I pack them in either one, I weigh them so I can put on the package what the weight is. So when you got a clump of ice of frozen fish, you know well what exactly the fish in that bag weighs. And even with in the food saver, it's nice to know when you look at the package how much fish is in there, what's the weight of the fish. And I weigh it with my my food scale. And I use this thing a lot. I use it a lot in cooking and in baking. And with the venison, when I butcher my deer, and I butcher all my deer, I take the trim in to have that professionally done. And got a great place up here called Tyke's Meats that do an unbelievable great job with, I have sticks made and summer sausage. So I take that in, but everything else I pretty much keep whole muscle meat, and I can use that for my jerky, or I can use that in a stew or whatever, but I end up pretty much using most of it for jerky. So I took out 3 pounds of meat, 1.5 pounds in each package, out of the freezer, defrosted it in the refrigerator overnight or until however long it takes. And then I take it out and I slice it up. Now I slice it fairly thick, as you'll see when I'm putting this in the oven. And I discovered that trying to get it too thin it's difficult to cook, and really the thicker pieces taste really good. And I found this out when I stopped in a butcher shop in Bemidji, and they actually had venison jerky there, and I bought some, and it was thicker pieces, and I just loved the texture and the taste. So from then on, I don't worry about trying to get it 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. I just gauge it, cut it, and what I end up doing is after I cut it all, I space it out in a pan, mix up the proper amount of, there's dark seasoning in there, and then there's a cure in there, and they have the all the instructions for how much to put in the shaker that's provided in each kit. And so I put that amount in there. I lay everything out. I take and I put my thumb where half of it would be, and I do one side until half is gone. I flip the meat. I do the other side, and it's ready to go. I put it in a 1 gallon freezer bag, and I put it in the fridge for at least 24 hours overnight. This has been in there, maybe a little bit longer than that, which is fine. I could have even done this tomorrow. It would have been fine. So that's some tips and tricks of doing venison and fish that I wanted to let you know. And so it's been in the fridge. I took it all out, and then I skewered the meat. I know with my oven rack, I can put 8 pieces of venison, and it'll fit through the rack. So, and I have the thicker pieces in the back to the thinner pieces in the front. It's just the way it comes out. Everything, and I don't have a professional cutting machine or anything. So I'll show you how I put these in the oven, and after I put them in the oven, I'll set the oven for 225, and my guess is after about 3 hours, some of the front pieces will have to come out, and the back pieces will probably stay in there for 4 hours. So what I like doing, and I like doing it in the oven, is because I do 2 things, and actually I'll grab a flashlight, bright flashlight. So after 3 hours, I'll check it. I can open the door, I can take my flashlight, I can look at the meat, and I can squeeze it. So I do the squeeze test. And a lot of you probably already know this, but the squeeze test for rare, medium, and well, you can use with your hand. And you just use a relaxed hand and use your index finger and press it into your thumb meat here with your muscles all relaxed. Press that in there, and that feel is rare. So now you take your next finger and press that in there, and that's medium. Now you take your ring finger, press it in there, and that's well done. So I will do the pinch test on my jerky meat to the point where it's well. I hate to have it overdone because it's crackly, and I don't like it that way. I'd rather have it more not done than overdone, because it's cooked either way. It's cooked through. And after I take it out, I put it in a pan, I let it cool down a little while, and then I put it in a plastic bag in the oven because I want it to retain some of that moisture. So next up here, I'm going to show you putting it into the oven. So here we are. I'm going to string this between the oven grates. I'm going to move them so that the meat is on the skewers rather than touching the grates as much as I can. I have a pan underneath to catch drippings. You'll get a little bit of dripping, not much. Now this one here is touching the pan, so I'll just move it up a little bit so that it's off the drip pan, and it'll be fine just like that. This other one's touching a little bit, but it's okay. And the reason why I'm doing this video is it doesn't seem, it's not that big a deal really, but a friend of mine, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and about doing jerky, and I told him I had done some, and telling him about this process where I put it on metal skewers and hang it, and he said, really? And it's almost like he, you know, didn't really get it. And I said, you know what, Lee, I'm gonna do a video on it. I'm gonna do a show, and then you'll be able to see it. So this is gonna go in the oven. So I got it in the oven at 225, and I'll check it in 2.5 hours maybe. Give it a little eye test and maybe squeeze test. I mean, just with the looking at it, I can tell whether it needs a squeeze test or not to begin with. But we'll come back here a little bit later, and I'll give you an idea what it looks like when it's a little more done. All right, folks. This is what we have going on here so far. We're in two hours into this, and I pulled off one real thin slice, really good, and another little piece, and let's say another hour and we're going to be pulling some more off of there, so it's looking really good. Well, this is what we have at about 3 hours into this, and this is really firm and excellent tasting. Take a look at what we have in the oven. Yet we have those thicker pieces in the back, one thick piece in the front, another half hour maximum, and these are going to be ready to pull out. These are cooling down a little bit. I'm going to throw them in a plastic bag, freezer bag here in a little bit, and put them in the fridge. Very good. Well, folks, I finished up the jerky. It turned out great, tasted excellent. This is the jerky I vacuum packed for the freezer. Have just as much as one of these bags in the refrigerator to eat and enjoy later. That's it for now, folks. This is Mike from Minnesota. Make every day a great day. God bless.